1975. A 24-year-old engineer sits alone in a Kodak laboratory, soldering spare parts onto a circuit board. He is not following a brief. Nobody asked him to do this. What he builds captures a black and white image at 0.01 megapixels, stored not to a card, not to a drive, but to a cassette tape. It is crude. It is heavy. It barely works. It is also the most dangerous object in the building. His bosses see it. They understand exactly what it means, and they tell him to hide it. This is the story of how a company that invented the future deliberately buried it and paid with everything they had. To understand what Kodak was willing to destroy, you first have to understand what Kodak was. In the 1980s and 90s, Kodak is not simply a camera company. It is the infrastructure of human memory. Wedding albums, birthday snapshots, family portraits, none of it exists without Kodak film. The company commands more than 20% of the entire global film market. 1 in every 5 rolls of film sold anywhere on Earth carries the Kodak name. By 1996, annual revenue peaks at $4 billion. Nearly all of it traces back to film and film-related products, the chemicals, the paper, the processing labs. More than 14,000 people are on the payroll at the company's height. An entire city, Rochester, New York, is built around Kodak's prosperity. The architect of all of this is George Eastman, the founder who died decades earlier, but whose philosophy still runs the company like a ghost in the machine. Eastman's genius was not the camera. It was the model. Sell the camera cheap. Profit forever on the film. It was a brilliant, self-sustaining engine of recurring revenue, one that worked so well for so long that it stopped being a strategy and became a religion. Then comes 1975. Steve Sasson is a young engineer in Kodak's Applied Research Division. He is given a loose brief: explore charge-coupled device sensors, and he does what curious engineers do. He builds something. The result weighs 3.6 kilograms. It uses a CCD sensor. It records a single black and white image onto a cassette tape and displays it on a television monitor 23 seconds later. It is the world's first digital camera. Sasson later recalled his own certainty about what he had built. It was just a matter of time before everyone switched to digital photography. The technology was there, but nobody took it seriously. We didn't even have the perspective to realize what we had created. Sasson knew. The question was whether anyone above him would listen. They did not listen. 1 year after Sasson completes his prototype, Kodak's leadership formally reviews what he has built and dismisses it. Not because they think he is wrong, but precisely because they think he is right. Digital photography is not framed as an opportunity. It is framed as a threat. The question inside those boardrooms is not, how do we own this technology? It is, how do we stop this technology from killing us? The answer they settle on, slow it down. Keep it quiet. Protect the film business for as long as possible. Here is the cruelest detail of what follows. Kodak does not abandon digital photography after 1976. It pours enormous resources into researching it. Through the 1990s, Kodak accumulates more patents related to digital photography than any other company in the world. They own the roadmap. Every key innovation documented and filed. They simply refuse to drive it. While Kodak's patents sit in a vault, Sony, Canon, and Nikon begin commercializing the future that Kodak drew the blueprint for. These competitors have no film business to protect. They have nothing to lose by going all in on digital and everything to gain. One analyst would later put it plainly, the irony is that Kodak invented digital photography, but the company's business model was built on selling film. Digital threatened that model. Clayton Christensen had a name for this pattern. He called it the innovator's dilemma, the mechanism by which successful incumbents are destroyed, not by bad decisions, but by rational ones. Every Kodak executive who chose to protect film revenue over digital investment was making a locally sensible choice. Collectively, those choices were fatal. By the time Daniel Karp takes the CEO chair in 2000, the crossing has already happened. In 1999, digital camera sales in the United States exceed film camera sales for the first time. Karp inherits a burning building. In 2001, Karp's team launches the EasyShare digital camera line. It is a real product. It is well designed. It is also years behind Sony, Canon, and others who have already locked in consumer loyalty. Kodak is now a challenger in a market it invented. 1994, Kodak finally begins investing more heavily in digital imaging, 18 years after it buried Sasson's prototype. But the investment is always subordinate to film. Every dollar allocated to digital is a dollar the film division fights to reclaim. The company is trying to straddle two eras simultaneously, and that posture is fatal. You cannot half commit to the future while fully subsidizing the past. EasyShare launches. The line is not a failure. It sells. But it arrives into a market already shaped by competitors who had no legacy to protect. Sony, Canon, and Nikon had been building consumer trust for years. Kodak is buying back shelf space that was once entirely its own. 2008. Kodak posts its first annual loss after decades of unbroken profitability. It is not a single product that fails. It is the entire ecosystem. Film stock, processing chemicals, photo paper, development labs. Every revenue stream Kodak ever had collapses in sequence because all of them were downstream of one thing: people buying film. And people have stopped buying film. Digital photography does not just win the market. It renders the infrastructure Kodak spent a century building completely obsolete. Antonio Perez takes the CEO chair in 2003. He attempts a pivot: commercial printing, digital services, patent licensing. He is not wrong to try. He is simply too late to matter at the scale Kodak requires. January 19, 2012. Kodak files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The liabilities total approximately $2.7 billion. The company that once employed more than 14,000 people at its peak files for bankruptcy in the same era that the photograph Kodak built its empire on, has never been more popular. More images are taken in 2012 than in any previous year in human history. They are just not taken on Kodak film. Okay. Kodak did not die because it failed to innovate. It died because it succeeded so completely at one thing that it could not afford, psychologically or financially, to cannibalize itself. It held more digital photography patents than any other company in the world. It built the prototype first. It had the engineers, the capital, and the brand to own the transition entirely. The technology was never the problem. The business model was the cage. Clayton Christensen named this pattern for a reason. The innovator's dilemma is not a story about ignorance. It is a story about incentives. The more dominant your current revenue stream, the harder it is to fund its replacement, even when you can see that replacement coming. Blockbuster had Reed Hastings in the room. Nokia had touchscreen prototypes in the lab. Kodak had the digital camera in its own building, built by its own engineer, 2 decades before the market turned. Incumbent blindness is not stupidity. It is the rational, short-term optimization of people protecting something real until the thing they were protecting no longer exists. Every person who voted to suppress Sasson's prototype in 1976 was protecting their paycheck, their division, their quarterly targets. They were not wrong to value those things. They were catastrophically wrong about how long those things would last. The question every organization has to answer, and most refuse to ask honestly, is this: what are we protecting right now that is quietly becoming our cage? Nokia had a working touchscreen smartphone before the iPhone existed. So why did Apple eat their lunch? Subscribe, and the next video will show you exactly how the world's biggest phone maker looked directly at the future and decided it wasn't their problem. If this story landed, share it with someone who runs something. They may need to hear it more than they know.